How to make a Stuart triple expansion engine run, part 7. Drilling the eccentric sheaves, then tapping the holes 4BA. To take long Allen Head Grub Screws. Then I drilled holes in the straps to allow access for the Allen key. I used my small Proxxon Motor Tool in a drill stand for these jobs, because it is a sensitive and accurate tool to use. This is the small machine vise that came with the drill stand. I'm going to use this to hold the parts while I work on them. The first thing I need to do, using a square needle file, is remove part of a small section of the eccentric, like this. I file this slot, and this is where I'm going to drill the hole, which will then be threaded 4BA to take a long and strong Allen grub screw. This is quite a simple job. You just have to be careful that you don't accidentally file away the outer part of the eccentric. The slot that I require needs to be big enough to allow a drill bit in there. Because after I've filed the slot, I'm going to drill a hole 1/8 of an inch diameter all the way through the eccentric into the hole. Notice I'm using the term eccentric and not eccentrics because I'm only working on one of them. This is a nice sharp needle file, and it didn't take long to remove the section from the eccentric. Here, using the point of the file, I'm making sure that it's deep enough. The next thing to do is to place this very useful small machine vise in the adjustable guide on the bed plate of the drill stand. And here I'm drilling the hole using a 1/8 diameter drill bit. I'm not applying much pressure, I'm sort of nibbling away the metal, so the drill, with a bit of luck, will be central when it comes out of the other end. The next part of the job is to thread the hole, making sure that the tap is perfectly central in the hole. If you put it in at an angle, you will run into problems. This clip shows the finished job. All I need to do now is clean it up. I have a couple of 4BA grub screws. In fact, yesterday I bought some more. It was good to see my friends at Blackgates Engineering. This grub screw is far too long. I just shortened it using a bench grinder. Yesterday I also bought a small bench vise for the smaller workshop. Once this bench vise is fitted in place on the bench, I'll be able to use it to shorten things like this and use a hacksaw. In case you're wondering why I'm not working in the larger workshop, it's something to do with the temperature. It takes a while to get warm in there. And now, as a pensioner in the UK who doesn't get a heating allowance, every therm counts. Actually, it doesn't really matter to me. I just wanted to have a quick dig at our current government's attack on the pensioners. Using the needle file, I scratched H on this eccentric. This tells me that it's the inner side of the high pressure cylinder's eccentric. Now it's time to work on the low pressure cylinder's eccentric, and the job is identical to what you've just seen, so I'm running the video to much higher speed to get through the process quicker. Notice that periodically I stop the filing and have a look at the progress. This is very important. I don't want to file this area too much. And here, once again at a high speed, I'm drilling the eccentric with a 1/8 of an inch diameter twist drill. You can clearly see in this high speed clip that I'm pulsing the drill bit using the handle of the drill stand. This makes for a more centralised hole and stops the drill wandering. That's the theory anyway. I won't bother showing you the tapping operation. It's identical to what you've just seen. And once I'd finished tapping the eccentric, I fitted another shortened grub screw. As you can see on this pair of eccentrics, I scratched the letter L on the inside one. I found a piece of steel that I sawed off an old crankshaft. When I put it in the chuck in the lathe, it ran quite true. So I'm going to use it as a mandrel to turn away the damaged parts of the eccentrics. This will also prove that the single grub screw is putting enough pressure on the steel mandrel to allow me to turn the end of it. This should be successful on the engine, but just in case it isn't, I will repeat the process on the other half of the eccentric and fit a second grub screw, but I don't think I'll need to do that. The eccentric didn't move at all in the mandrel, despite me attacking it with a lathe tool and completely removing the end part. The pair of eccentrics are looking better already. Just a little bit more turning is required to remove all traces of the original holes that were drilled in this very weak part of the eccentrics. Just a few more fine cuts gets rid of all traces of the damaged hole. One down and one to go. I remove the eccentric from the mandrel, and this is what it now looks like. It's really important that these eccentrics are fitted to the engine in exactly the same orientation as they were originally, because the two eccentrics machined as one each have an offset, and the offsets need to be exactly the right way round for each eccentric. If you get the position of the eccentrics wrong, timing the engine will be almost impossible. This is the finished high-pressure eccentric pair. It's really important that the grub screw isn't too long. It must be below the outer level of the eccentric. Now it's time to drill the holes in the eccentric straps. A very simple job, and I'm using a drill bit which is 7/64 of an inch in diameter. In actual fact, it could be a bit smaller because the Allen key is not this diameter. I've done it this way just to leave a little bit of tolerance to manoeuvre the Allen key into the grub screw when everything's bolted together. Before reassembly comes the oiling session. It's most important to make sure that these parts are nice and oily inside, and in no time at all the first pair are back together. This clip shows me fitting lock nuts to the bolts that hold the straps together. This is quite important, you don't want them to work loose. Although I didn't do this on the triple expansion engine that I rebuilt that came from America, but that was only because the bolts weren't long enough. Luckily the eccentric strap fits were very good indeed, so I could tighten up the existing bolts to hold everything together. Here's a clip of it running. You'll notice that the hand wheel is different. I decided to use a casting that I bought, which is actually a steering wheel for a mini traction engine. I like this, it's very steam-like, even though it doesn't have anything to do with the steam, it just moves the eccentrics. Back to the current job, I'm just checking how free it is with two sets of valve gear missing, and it's still binding slightly at one position. I'd just like to mention that in a past episode I showed the filing of the valve forks, but I didn't do anything to the centre valve gear, because it's very difficult to get to, but I'm going to have to bite the bullet and file the centre valve fork too. That's it for this episode. Stay safe, stay healthy, thanks for watching, and I hope you found it useful. Please take the time to visit my Mainsteam Models website and click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists, and by doing that you can find other videos that you may like to watch. And by using the playlists, you can actually watch the videos back to back.